actually. Let's cut the bike off. Well, hello everybody on YouTube. It's the Wingnut, and I wanted to talk to you about something. So if you don't know, if you haven't heard the good news, Utah just passed a lane filtering law. Now, lane filtering is where you can filter through traffic that is stopped to get to the front. Lane splitting is where you're riding with the flow of traffic. All right. So there is a difference. So just a little bit of information. The reason why I'm actually doing this while I'm sitting still versus talking to you is I wanted to read this so you understand. All right. So here's what they say. Motorcyclists can only lane filter on roads with speed limits of 45 miles per hour or less. They cannot travel more than 15 miles per hour while doing so. The aim of the law is to reduce the number of motorcyclists who are rear-ended in traffic. Now, it is good until July 1st of 2020, and it goes into effect this May. Motorcyclists cannot weave in and out of traffic freely, and this only applies when vehicles are stopped on the road. Okay? So what this is going to allow people to do is to keep from getting rear-ended, you can filter. And the whole point of this is to reduce accidents. So I say that because I just had an interesting conversation with a friend of mine from way back in the day. Name's Church. Church was on I served with him 10 years ago. Church is good peoples. Now, Church and I don't see eye to eye on a lot of issues, but the great thing about Church is that he is more than willing to have a conversation than a shouting match. And I love that. I love the fact that I can sit down and I can talk to the man. You know, and it's very rarely that you find people who have different views than you. What the? I don't know what the hell that was. But it's very rare that you can find people with different viewpoints than nowadays that wants to have a conversation, at least in the circles I travel. And I'll tell you this right now, I respect this man greatly. I have served with him, I have deployed with him, and whether or not he and I believe the same things, he's at least willing to have a conversation with you about the things he doesn't understand so he can understand it better. And his thing was, he thinks that lane splitting and lane filtering would be more dangerous for the motorcycle riders. Well, in some cases it can be, depending on how they're doing it. Because just like any law out there, there's always going to be somebody who's going to abuse it. Now, am I all for lane splitting? I'm going to be honest, yes. But I'm all for lane splitting when done in a more secure fashion than doing a dank wheelie at 80 miles an hour through a stand of cars. You know what I mean? I like the layout, and I like how California has it broken down. And I know there's people who abuse it, but there's tons and tons and tons and tons of people who don't abuse it. And they are considerate riders, and they're doing it for their own safety. I'm all for that. Filtering, we almost got that. We almost had a House bill pass here in Virginia, but it had a lot of opposition from state troopers because they're worried that people are going to take advantage of it. And it's also going to increase injuries. So, I mean, it's a give or take. But when people argue about it being less safe for the rider and for motorists, yes, there are people who are going to abuse it. But there's also people who text and drive and drink and drive. And, you know, and people who, you know, in the Commonwealth drive vehicles that aren't inspected that could be unsafe. So it becomes a splitting hairs kind of argument in that respect. And yeah, I can see where people would abuse it. I can see where people would do it in a fashion that was unsafe. But having ridden in this area for quite some years and ridden other places for quite some years, I've had more close calls sitting in traffic than anywhere else. Anywhere else, just sitting in traffic trying to go on base, or sitting in traffic trying to go through the tunnel that we're coming up to here in a few minutes, and it's just, you gotta watch that, man. So I would love to be able, when traffic is stopped or traffic is you know, not moving to filter to the front. Now, I'm lucky. I have a water-cooled bike, so my shit's not going to overheat and vapor lock. You know, now it can still overheat, don't get me wrong, but it's not as likely to as like an air-cooled bike, especially an older air-cooled carbureted bike. But I can still overheat because in West Virginia, it gets hot here. You know, I'm in the military. I'm required to ride full gear. But on top of that, I always ride in full gear. As you can see today, it's 70 degrees and I am wearing full gear with a full face helmet because that's how I like to ride. Now, if this was 100 degrees outside and I'm sitting in traffic with this monster baking me from underneath, the sun baking me from up top, and the heat radiating from the cars left and right, I could go into heat shock or heat stroke if I'm not paying attention. And the ability to legally pull off the side of the road and filter out to the next exit or filter to the front so I at least have air coming across me on the bike to where I'm not as hot would be much safer for me in that respect. Sitting in tunnel traffic in the morning sometimes, I've got to watch people behind me more than I got to watch the people in front of me because they're on their phones and they're inching forward. And I've had my rear bump before because dude was on his phone, like right there, just texting away, and it's not safe. I mean, you can see any video motorcyclists have taken of people driving. It's like 9 in 10 cars there's a phone in their hand. You know what I mean? They play with their phone, they're playing with an infotainment center. So yeah, the idea of filtering and lane splitting appeals to me because it allows me to remove myself in a safe and legal manner. Because I'm gonna be honest, if someone behind me or next to me is driving erratically, I'm gonna get away from them. If that means I gotta ride on the shoulder or pull off at the next exit or filter between cars so I don't get squished, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna try my best not to break the law, but I'm not gonna get squished because somebody else is being unsafe. If that makes any sense. You know, and I'll take the ticket if there's a ticket. I'll take an ass chewing from a state trooper if it's an ass chewing that needs to happen. You know, I'm not saying I'm above the law. I'm just simply saying I would rather have a $100 ticket than a broken leg or a crushed rib cage or I don't know, dead. And we had that House bill and it got defeated. And I kind of wish they would bring it back. And if it gets tabled for a year or two, man, it's great. But people really realize is the reason we're having a lot of these motorcycle accidents in traffic. Notice I keep saying that, in traffic, because there's a lot of other statistics involved. It's because of inattentive drivers. I mean, I have hours of footage of people texting and driving, swerving into my lane or running me off the road or almost running me down. They're not even paying attention. They're weaving everywhere and everything from a small little Geo Metro up to a big rig doing it. And it's just like, are you fucking kidding me? You know, people FaceTiming and driving. So it's very aggravating from my standpoint. And here's the thing, everybody does it. At some point or another, in some degree, someone looks down from her and they fiddle with some shit that's not the car steering wheel. So the nut that holds the seat and the steering wheel together on a car is just as dangerous as a nut that holds the handlebars to the seat on a motorcycle. That's my take on it. I mean, this is getting to be a little bit long of a rant, but from a motorcyclist perspective, it's safer for me. And I'm all for it. I really wish the Commonwealth of Virginia would take a look at this more. I wish other states would take a look at it more. Just allow us to filter. All right, let's just start with filtering. In Utah's case, they're only doing it until July 1st of 2022. And that's so they can kind of see where it's going on. Because let's be honest, we use the HURT report for a lot of our motorcycle statistics. That was conducted in 1978 and it was published in 1981. That is the #1 listed report when it comes to motorcycle statistics, is the HURT report. And it is as old as I am. Actually, it's 2 years older than me. It's 40 years old. There have been other studies done, but none to the, I guess the term I'm looking for is, none went as deep and as hard with as most variables into it as the Hurt report did. It's a very, very, very thorough report, and no one's done one like it since that I'm aware of. If there is, and you know about it, and you, the viewer, know about it, send it to me. I will link it in the description. All right. But for you guys out there in YouTube land, the motorcycle riders, the non-motorcycle riders, I want to know what you think about filtering and lane splitting. There's no such thing as a bad opinion here, because opinions like assholes, everybody's got one. All right? And I guess it's one of those times when I want to look at your butthole. So send me your opinion. I know, that was just gross. What's going on, man? Oh, look at that. That thing is kitted out. That is hemp. But let me know. I want to know what you think about it. If you think it should be illegal, if you think it should be illegal, if you think there should be certain stipulations on it, how is it going to be enforced? Send it my way. I would love to hear from someone who's in law enforcement. I would love to hear someone who's from, a soccer mom, a truck driver, motorcyclists, scooter riders, people who use horse and buggy. I don't care. If you're seeing this and you have a comment, feel free. I just ask one thing. All right, one thing. Be respectful. If you're respectful to me, I'll be respectful to you. Make sense? Ah. I'm just, no. Well, hey everybody, it's the Wingnut, and thank you for watching the channel. Like, dislike, subscribe, and hey, we got this really neat thing called the little bell there, the notification button. Feel free to hit that so you know when new videos pop. And just to let you know, I've got a friend's Harley coming into the garage for the next clean up and send out on the road project. Haven't came up with a name for it yet. It's a 95 Sportster XL 883. So if you guys want to come up with a name for the next project, send it my way in the comment section below. Hey, it's the Wingnut. Have a good one.